I have bought them, and stationed them myself at the most desirable posts, that is, in villages, where no one generally stops. That's well, said Monte Cristo. I remain here a day or two, arrange accordingly. As Bertuccio was leaving the room to give the requisite orders, Baptistin opened the door. He held a letter on a silver waiter. "What are you doing here?" asked the Count, seeing him covered with dust. "I did not send for you, I think?" Baptistin, without answering, approached the Count, and presented the letter. "Important and urgent," said he. The Count opened the letter, and read. M. de Monte Cristo is apprised that this night a man will enter his house in the Champs-Élysées with the intention of carrying off some papers supposed to be in the secretary in the dressing room. The Count's well-known courage will render unnecessary the aid of the police, whose interference might seriously affect him who sends this advice. The Count, by any opening from the bedroom, or by concealing himself in the dressing room, would be able to defend his property himself. Many attendants or apparent precautions would prevent the villain from the attempt, and M. de Monte Cristo would lose the opportunity of discovering an enemy whom chance has revealed to him, who now sends this warning to the Count, a warning he might not be able to send another time, if this first attempt should fail and another be made. The Count's first idea was that this was an artifice, a gross deception, to draw his attention from a minor danger in order to expose him to a greater. He was on the point of sending the letter to the commissary of police, notwithstanding the advice of his anonymous friend, or perhaps because of that advice, when suddenly the idea occurred to him that it might be some personal enemy, whom he alone should recognize and over whom, if such were the case, he alone would gain any advantage, as Fiesco had done over the Moor who would have killed him. We know the Count's vigorous and daring mind, denying anything to be impossible, with that energy which marks the great man. From his past life, from his resolution to shrink from nothing, the Count had acquired an inconceivable relish for the contests in which he had engaged, sometimes against nature, that is to say, against God, and sometimes against the world, that is, against the devil. The Genoese conspirator. "They do not want my papers," said Monte Cristo, "they want to kill me. They are no robbers, but assassins." "I will not allow the prefect of police to interfere with my private affairs. I am rich enough, forsooth, to distribute his authority on this occasion." The Count recalled Baptistin, who had left the room after delivering the letter. "Return to Paris," said he, "assemble the servants who remain there. I want all my household at Auteuil." "But will no one remain in the house, my lord?" asked Baptistin. "Yes, the porter. My lord will remember that the lodge is at a distance from the house." "Well? The house might be stripped without his hearing the least noise." "By whom?" "By thieves." "You are a fool, M. Baptistin. Thieves might strip the house, it would annoy me less than to be disobeyed." Baptistin bowed. "You understand me?" said the Count. "Bring your comrades here, one and all, but let everything remain as usual, only close the shutters of the ground floor." "And those of the second floor?" "You know they are never closed." "Go." The Count signified his intention of dining alone, and that no one but Ali should attend him. Having dined with his usual tranquility and moderation, the Count, making a signal to Ali to follow him, went out by the side gate and on reaching the Bois de Boulogne turned, apparently without design towards Paris, and at twilight, found himself opposite his house in the Champs-Élysées. All was dark. One solitary, feeble light was burning in the porter's lodge, about 40 paces distant from the house, as Baptistin had said. Monte Cristo leaned against a tree, and with that scrutinizing glance which was so rarely deceived, looked up and down the avenue, examined the passers-by, and carefully looked down the neighboring streets, to see that no one was concealed. "10 minutes passed thus, and he was convinced that no one was watching him. He hastened to the side door with Ali, entered hurriedly, and by the servants' staircase, of which he had the key, gained his bedroom without opening or disarranging a single curtain, without even the porter having the slightest suspicion that the house, which he supposed empty, contained its chief occupant. Arrived in his bedroom, the Count motioned to Ali to stop, then he passed into the dressing room, which he examined. Everything appeared as usual, the precious secretary in its place, and the key in the secretary. He double-locked it, took the key, returned to the bedroom door, removed the double staple of the bolt, and went in. Meanwhile Ali had procured the arms the Count required, namely, a short carbine and a pair of double-barreled pistols, with which as sure an aim might be taken as with a single-barreled one. Thus armed, the Count held the lives of 5 men in his hands. It was about 9:30. The Count and Ali ate in haste a crust of bread and drank a glass of Spanish wine, then Monte Cristo slipped aside one of the movable panels, which enabled him to see into the adjoining room. He had within his reach his pistols and carbine, and Ali, standing near him, held one of the small Arabian hatchets, whose form has not varied since the Crusades. Through one of the windows of the bedroom, on a line with that in the dressing room, the Count could see into the street. Two hours passed thus. It was intensely dark, still Ali, thanks to his wild nature, and the Count, thanks doubtless to his long confinement, could distinguish in the darkness the slightest movement of the trees. The little light in the lodge had long been extinct. It might be expected that the attack, if indeed an attack was projected, would be made from the staircase of the ground floor, and not from a window. In Monte Cristo's opinion, the villain sought his life, not his money. It would be his bedroom they would attack, and they must reach it by the back staircase, or by the window in the dressing room. The clock of the Invalides struck 11:45. The west wind bore on its moistened gust the doleful vibration of the 3 strokes. As the last stroke died away, the Count thought he heard a slight noise in the dressing room. This first sound, or rather this first grinding, was followed by a second, then a third. At the fourth, the Count knew what to expect. A firm and well-practiced hand was engaged in cutting the 4 sides of a pane of glass with a diamond. The Count felt his heart beat more rapidly. Inured as men may be to danger, forewarned as they may be of peril, they understand, by the fluttering of the heart and the shuddering of the frame, the enormous difference between a dream and a reality, between the project and the execution. However, Monte Cristo only made a sign to apprise Ali, who, understanding that danger was approaching from the other side, drew nearer to his master. Monte Cristo was eager to ascertain the strength and number of his enemies. The window whence the noise proceeded was opposite the opening by which the Count could see into the dressing room. He fixed his eyes on that window. He distinguished a shadow in the darkness, then one of the panes became quite opaque, as if a sheet of paper were stuck on the outside, then the square cracked without falling,